What if a single goodnight message had the power to keep her thinking about you long after she closes her eyes? Imagine not just sending some random text, but something so meaningful that it lingers in her mind, replaying over and over, a message that sparks curiosity, stirs her imagination, and makes you stand out from every other guy she's ever met. You're not here to fade into the background, are you? You're here to dominate her thoughts. And the truth is, most men don't get this. They send the same dull, recycled lines that women forget before they've even drifted off to sleep. But that's not you. You're different. You're here because you want to stand out, because you refuse to be ignored. Women don't crave the ordinary. They're drawn to mystery, confidence, and that electric feeling that someone just made their heart skip a beat. That's why these messages aren't just simple words on a screen. They're tools, psychological anchors that plant you firmly in her mind. They show her you're not like the rest, that you understand something most men never will. If you're ready to step out of the crowd, to stop being forgettable and start being unforgettable, then stick with me until the end. We're about to change the way she sees you forever. Let's start with the first one. When you say goodnight, you might playfully add, "I'll try not to show up in your dreams, but no promises." See how different that feels already. There's something magnetic about planting a thought in someone's head right before they slip into sleep. Picture this. She lies down, the lights are off, and her mind begins to wander. If you've left an impression, her thoughts will circle back to you even if she tries to push them away. But here's where most guys fail. They text without purpose, without understanding how a woman's mind really works. They send the same old uninspired lines, like "sleep well" or "sweet dreams," and then wonder why she doesn't reply, or why she feels distant the next day. It's simple. Those messages are forgettable. You, however, are not going to fall into that trap. You're about to send something that sticks. Something playful enough to spark her curiosity, clever enough to make her smile, and intriguing enough to have her looking forward to your next message. When you say, "no promises," you're doing what most men never even think of. You're creating playful tension. You're planting a seed in her imagination. And trust me, a woman's imagination is one of her most powerful emotional gateways. If you can engage it, you've already won half the battle. This isn't just a cheeky line. It's a subtle strategy. It teases her curiosity and makes her want more. The message carries confidence, just the right touch of flirtation, and none of that desperate energy that pushes women away. You're not begging for her attention, you're commanding it. Effortlessly. And here's the beauty of it. It's also a challenge. By saying no promises, you hint at something just beyond her control. It's unpredictable, exciting, exactly the kind of mystery women secretly crave. Because let's face it, no woman dreams of the man who sends the same bland texts as everyone else. They're drawn to adventure, intrigue, and the thrill of someone who feels different. So what happens when she reads your message? Maybe she laughs and thinks, "Who does this guy think he is?" Or maybe she smiles, her curiosity sparked, replaying your words in her head as she drifts off. Either way you win. Because, whether she's questioning your boldness or secretly enjoying it, one thing is certain, she's thinking about you. And that's the real goal. Because at the end of the day, it's not about gaining everyone's approval, it's about leaving a lasting impression. And that's exactly where we begin. Here's the hard truth. Most men have no idea how to communicate in a way that actually stands out. They've been told that being overly agreeable, extra sweet, or endlessly polite is the secret key to a woman's heart. But let's be real. Well, has that been working for them? Women aren't drawn to what feels safe and predictable. They're pulled toward what feels exciting, toward what feels like an adventure. Think about it. What really captures attention? It's the man who makes her laugh, who makes her pause and think, and above all, who makes her feel. This kind of message is a masterclass in doing all three at once. And here's the beauty of it. It's not about trying too hard. In fact, the power lies in the opposite, being effortless. It's about knowing your value and showing her that you're not just sending a text, you're giving her an experience, a moment she won't forget. And the best part, when she finally falls asleep, there's a good chance you'll appear in her dreams. Not because you begged for it, not because you forced it, but because you skillfully planted the thought before she closed her eyes. That is the subtle yet undeniable power of suggestion. That is the power of a man who knows how to communicate with confidence. Now, let's step into the second message. This one takes things to a whole new level. Tell her to rest well, but not to smile too much tomorrow while thinking about you. Right, this isn't just another tired goodnight text. It's playful, daring, and dripping with confidence. When you say this, you're doing two things at once. First, you're planting the thought that she will be thinking of you tomorrow. And second, you're making her smile in the moment she reads it. That's a double victory. Why is it so effective? Because women are naturally drawn to confidence, not arrogance. And though the line between the two may seem thin, the difference is everything. Confidence says, I know my worth. Arrogance says, you owe me your time. See the contrast? This message radiates pure confidence. It's cheeky, self-assured, and impossible to ignore. You're not asking for her attention, you're assuming it. And that quiet assumption is magnetic. Deep down, every woman is intrigued by a man who knows his value. A man who doesn't need her validation, but who still has that energy that makes her want to respond. And when she reads your message, her first instinct will almost always be a smile. But beyond the smile, something even more important happens. She starts to wonder, what is it about this guy that makes him so confident? And that curiosity pulls her deeper into your orbit. The truth is, most men fail because their texts have no purpose, no direction, no impact. They play it safe, and in doing so, they disappear into the background. But women today are tired of shallow, safe communication. They're tired of men who try so hard to be liked that they lose the very edge that makes them interesting. This kind of message flips the script. It's bold. It's unapologetic. It screams, I'm not like the others. And here's something every man needs to understand. Women don't want someone who blends in. They want someone who stands out, someone who stirs emotions they can't easily explain. That's what makes the difference. So what if she doesn't reply right away? Honestly, so what? You're not texting for validation. You're not chasing approval. You're creating an impact. An impact lasts longer than any instant reply ever could. And this is only the beginning, because as we move forward, the next message will show you an even deeper layer of how to spark desire without ever sounding needy. When you communicate from this mindset, you're not just sending words, you're projecting self. And trust me, when a man operates from that space, he naturally attracts women who recognize his value and are drawn to it. Women are incredibly intuitive. They can feel the difference between a man who's texting simply for attention and one who texts because he knows he deserves her attention. That difference changes everything. This type of message also works because it taps into something universal: human psychology. We're all wired to notice the unexpected. When you tell her not to smile too much tomorrow because of you, you're flipping the script. Most men wouldn't dare send something like that. Why? Because they're terrified of being seen as cocky or too bold. But you're not afraid. You understand that women are pulled toward confidence, humor, and just enough intrigue to keep them guessing. And this one simple line delivers all three at once. Now, let's move to number 3. Picture this. You're lying in bed, casually scrolling through your phone. Then suddenly, you come across a message that makes you smile. Not because the words are overly complicated or dramatic, but because of the vibe they carry. Confidence, playfulness, just the right touch of cheekiness. That's the kind of energy this message delivers. And it works wonders. Here's what makes it brilliant. It's subtle, yet it sparks her imagination in a way that feels innocent but still intimate. It's flirtation done perfectly. No boundaries crossed, yet her mind begins to wander in your direction. This is the type of message that stands out for all the right reasons. The reality is that most guys completely miss the mark when it comes to emotional communication. They're either too pushy, trying to force an outcome, or too passive, fading into the background until their texts are forgotten. But this message, it's different. It has purpose wrapped in playfulness. It says, I'm not texting just to pass the time. I'm texting because I'm worth thinking about. And here's where the magic happens. It catches her off guard. A message about a pillow being jealous. That's not something 99% of men would ever think to say. But you're not like 99% of men, are you? You understand that women crave something fresh, emotional, and a little unexpected. Humor makes you stand out. And when you can make her laugh, you're not just entertaining her, you're making her feel something real. And laughter, as small as it seems, is one of the fastest gateways to connection. But it doesn't stop there. Beneath the humor, there's an undeniable masculinity. The message is bold, confident, and carries that energy that says, I know my worth. Most men are too afraid to be bold. They fear saying too much, fear stepping outside the box. So they stay trapped in the friend zone, sending forgettable lines that go nowhere. But you know that confidence is magnetic. And this message radiates it naturally. Here's the secret. Women experience the world emotionally, through intuition and imagination. When you send a message that makes her picture a jealous pillow, you're tapping directly into that space. You're painting a playful, light-hearted image that stays with her. It's funny, but it's also laced with subtle attraction. Notice what you're not doing. You're not bluntly saying, "I wish I were there." That would be too direct, too flat. Instead, you're giving her just enough to let her imagination do the rest. And that's where the real magic happens. The biggest mistake most men make is over-explaining, spelling everything out in black and white, leaving no room for mystery. But women don't actually want everything handed to them. They want room to feel, to imagine, to chase a little curiosity. And that's exactly why this message works. It's not just what you say. It's the emotional world you allow her to step into. This kind of message invites her into a playful exchange. It's light, it's cheeky, and it has the power to make her smile, think, and maybe even blush a little. But here's the thing you might be asking yourself. What if she doesn't respond? The truth is, it doesn't matter, because this message isn't about chasing validation. It's about planting a seed. It's about showing her that you're the kind of man who stands out without even trying too hard. And even if she doesn't reply right away, she will remember how it made her feel. That's what counts. Because in today's dating world, communication is everything. The men who win are the ones who understand this. They know that every single message is an opportunity to express value, to show confidence, to stand apart. Think about it, women are flooded daily with texts from men who don't have a clue how to make an emotional impact. But you're not one of them. You're not just tossing words at her hoping something sticks. You're intentional. You're the man who knows how to use words as tools, powerful tools that create intrigue and build connection. And this next message, it's one of your sharpest weapons. Here it is. Good night. Let me know if I happen to make an appearance in your dreams. Why is this so powerful? Because it's pure intrigue. It's not another tired good night text, it's an invitation. An invitation for her to think about you in a way that feels fresh, exciting, and impossible to ignore. When you send it, you're doing something most men never even attempt. You're giving her a reason to keep thinking about you long after the conversation has ended. That's the real secret. Remember, you're not texting just to fill space. You're creating an experience. And when she reads this, she's instantly pulled into a playful scenario. She begins to wonder, what does he mean by that? Why would I dream about him? Notice how the message doesn't answer those questions directly. It leaves the door wide open for her imagination to run wild. And as we've already discussed, a woman's imagination is one of the most powerful tools you can ever tap into. This message works because it's bold and unapologetic. You're not asking politely if she'd dream about you, you're telling her to let you know when it happens. That's a subtle but powerful shift in energy. It shows confidence. It shows self-assurance. And women notice that instantly. Confidence isn't just attractive, it's magnetic. It pulls people in without effort. And in today's world, where attention spans are shorter than ever, and women are bombarded with constant notifications, standing out is everything. To stand out, you must communicate in a way that cuts through the noise. And this message does exactly that. It's short, sharp, intriguing, and it leaves her wanting more. But here's what makes it even better. This message isn't only about her, it's also about you. It shows that you're a man who doesn't play by the usual rules. You're not relying on safe lines or overused compliments. Instead, you're showing her that you can keep things light, fun, and real while creating a unique spark of connection. Because at the end of the day, women crave men who can make them feel alive. They want someone who can take them on an emotional ride, even through something as small as a text. And when you send this, you're doing exactly that. You're giving her a reason to smile before bed, to think of you as she drifts off, and to look forward to hearing from you again. So here's what I want you to do. The next time you reach for your phone to type a goodnight text, stop yourself. Don't send something boring. Don't send something safe. Instead, send this. Good night. Let me know if I make a guest appearance in your dreams. And then wait. Watch what happens. Trust me, the response you get will be unlike anything you've ever experienced before. She'll be intrigued. She'll be curious. And most importantly, she'll be thinking about you. And that's exactly how you win her attention. Now comes number 5. If you wake up with a smile, you'll know who caused it. Picture the scene. She wakes up early, still a little groggy, rubbing her eyes as she reaches for her phone. Her thumb scrolls through endless notifications, and then there it is, your message. For a brief moment, Her sleepy expression softens into a smile. Why? Because unlike the ordinary goodnight texts she's used to, yours carries meaning. You gave her something light-hearted yet thoughtful, something that lingers in her mind and brightens her morning. In that instant, you've planted an emotional seed that stays with her throughout the day. That's the real power behind this message. It's more than just words on a screen. It's an experience. This works so well because it's simple, yet strikingly deep. You're not trying too hard, you're not writing poetry, and you're not overcomplicating things. Instead, you're speaking directly to her emotions, reaching into her subconscious. The connection you create feels genuine, personal, and authentic. Most men never understand this. They think it takes constant texting or grand gestures to impress a woman. But the truth, it's often the smallest, most thoughtful moments that leave the biggest impact. And this message is one of those powerful little moments. When you say, if you wake up with a smile, you'll know who caused it, you're doing more than wishing her a good morning. You're playfully claiming responsibility for her happiness. You're showing her you bring positivity into her life, even in the simplest way. And women notice this. They notice the men who can make them smile, laugh, or simply feel good, and they remember those men. Think about what this positions you as. You're not begging for attention, nor are you demanding a reaction. Instead, you're simply stating a fact with quiet confidence. You have the ability to impact her emotions. And that energy, that calm self-assurance is incredibly magnetic. It's the difference between being just another name in her inbox and being the man who makes her feel something real. From a psychological perspective, this works because women are emotionally wired. They are drawn to men who can spark curiosity, joy, and excitement. And this single line touches all those notes at once. It's light-hearted, yet meaningful. It shows thoughtfulness while leaving just enough space for her imagination to run wild. She starts asking herself, why does he think I'll smile? What does he know that I don't? That curiosity keeps you in her thoughts long after the message is read. In a world where relationships often feel shallow, transactional, or rushed, this kind of emotional connection stands out. Women are tired of being treated as objects or trophies. They want to feel valued, understood, and truly seen. When you send a message like this, you prove that you get it. You're not recycling the same tired lines as everyone else. You're someone who stands apart. But let's be clear, this isn't about chasing her validation. It's not about her replying with, "You're so sweet," or "You're the best." No, this is about planting a seed, creating a lasting memory that she associates with you. Because at the end of the day, it's not about what she types back in that moment. It's about how she feels when she thinks about you. And that's where the real victory lies. After understanding how a single message can plant an emotional seed that stays in her mind, let's take it one step further and see how to end the day in a way that lingers long after the conversation is over. This next message ensures her feelings are warm, positive, and filled with a touch of intrigue. If you truly want to stand out and be unforgettable, you must grasp the subtle art of impact. It's not about flooding her phone with endless texts or throwing exaggerated compliments her way. Instead, it's about making her feel something real, and this message does exactly that. It's short, it's powerful, and it's impossible to ignore. Number 6. Good night. If you can't sleep, you know where to find me. Think about it, this isn't just a casual good night. It's the ultimate way to close a conversation. It's more than words. It's an invitation. A quiet message that says, I'm here when you need me, but only if you want me there. That's the secret. You're not chasing. You're not demanding, you're simply opening the door. And that subtle approach, it carries immense power. While most men lean too far in being either overly aggressive or far too passive, you strike the perfect balance. When she reads this, she feels reassured, comforted, even safe. At the same time, she values the space you've given her. There's no pressure, only a calm, natural confidence, and that kind of energy is magnetic. This message taps into something very human. We're drawn to what feels both secure and intriguing. By saying, if you can't sleep, you know where to find me, you place yourself in a rare position. You become the person she knows she can rely on, yet you also carry an air of mystery. And naturally, her mind begins to wander. What if I reach out? What would we talk about? Why does he feel so different from everyone else? That curiosity alone keeps her engaged. Because here's the truth. Women deeply value emotional safety. They want to feel they can open up, be vulnerable, and share without judgment. And at the same time, they crave the spark of excitement. This single message delivers both. It's not just about being present. It's about becoming the person she genuinely wants to reach out to. That's the quiet power that makes you unforgettable.